Hey guys, welcome to episode number 20 of our LinkedIn Live series, live every Thursday here with John Lees, also broadcast across my YouTube channel and Facebook page. Can't believe we've got to 20 episodes, 20 weeks of putting this show on with John. Very, very appreciative of everyone who watches, whether you're on the LinkedIn platform, the YouTube channel or Facebook. And it doesn't matter if you're watching it live or you're watching it on replay. We appreciate the time you guys have all taken to watch our show. And more than anything, we hope you guys have got some value out of it. So I'm going to bring John into the broadcast straight away to get the show underway. As always, guys, use the comments feed as a way of networking. Let us know where you're watching from. Leave a question, ask anything you want in the comments, and John and I will get to them either during the show or at the end of the show. Nice to have you on board again this week, John, live from California.
Thank you very much. Beautiful day here. And I hope everyone that's watching and their families and friends are all okay. And thank you, Simon, for making it possible. And I'm enjoying the sessions. I hope other people are. They can ask questions, by the way. Apart from posting any comments, they can post questions. And, stay in touch at any time.
Absolutely. We love questions. And don't forget, guys, you can always reach out to John very directly. If you like some of the things that you see in the show and you want to dig into that a little bit more for your own company, or you want to ask a question during the show, I'm going to put a stream across the bottom, which will have John's email address, info@johnlees.com.au. I get the pleasure of spending a bit of time with John off camera every week, and it's extremely valuable. So I do encourage anyone, if you've got something you want to learn about sales or customer service, or you just want to help your team develop better strategies on sales, customer service, and marketing, then John is your person. So episode 20, John, first of all, thank you very much. 20 episodes. I didn't think we'd get to 20 episodes. I never thought we'd do 20 episodes, but we have. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a real experience for me. And just I've learned so much just from the way you prepare for these shows, the way that you deliver them, and then obviously the time that we spent over this last 20 weeks as you've been putting these shows on. So I am going to disappear off screen and do a disappearing act, and I'm going to hand it over to you. But today, you're going to cover the topic for companies. Are you seen as a Metoo or a Mebest company? So I'm really looking forward to this one. I've had a bit of a preview, and I'm sure you're all going to like it.
Thank you very much, Simon.
See you soon.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone, and hope you enjoy this session. It'll be about 3 hours, maybe 4. No, it won't. It'll be about half an hour. One of the questions I get asked is, at what age did you become a strategist? And I would say that it was when I was about 12 years old. As you would well know, regrettably, very regrettably, a lot of children get bullied. My daughter was telling me about an incident that happened on a bus recently where kids were stabbing another kid with pencils and things like that. It sounds maybe harmless, but it's shocking in more ways than one, mentally and physically, and awful situation. So you got to be careful of bullying. We've got to protect kids from that kind of thing as best we can. When I was at school, when I was 12 years old, I was in a secondary modern school, as they called it in those days. So I'd left the primary school, and there was a fair bit of bullying went on, and I had to think about it. I don't want to get bullied. I'm not interested in fighting people for no reason. So what I did is I created a notepad, and on that pad, I listed all the names of the kids I could beat up. And pretty soon, word got around that, Lees must be tough. He must be, because he's got a list of all the kids he can beat up. And so, kids stayed away from me. So it worked very well until one day, a new kid started at school. His first day, he looked as though he had come from prehistoric days. But anyway, strange way of talking. And he said, is your name Lees? I said, yeah, it is. Yeah, John Lee's. Yeah. He said, I've heard that you've got a notepad with all the kids' names that you can beat up. I said, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have. There is the pad. He said, let me have a look at the pad. I said, okay. So I gave it to him. He looked at it. He said, wait a minute. My name's on this pad. I said, that's right. Your name is on the pad. He said, well, you can't beat me up. I said, okay, I'll take your name off. So he said, that's the kind of strategic thinking that goes on in my head. And so there you go. So now, talking of strategy, talking of situations that we need to know more about, excuse me. We're going to talk today, as Simon mentioned, about the difference between Metoo or Mebest companies, salespeople, and what have you. I'm sure you've heard the term Metoo. It's not meant to be slanderous in any way. It's just a fact of life that, you know, most companies behave in very similar ways. Now, a Metoo company has happy customers, number one, no question about it, for the most part, otherwise they wouldn't keep them. They have happy customers. They have good people. They have good service. They're reliable, and so forth. So what's the big deal? Why are Mebest companies better? It's because the Mebest companies not only perform like Metoo companies in the sense that they provide a satisfactory service, good products, good people, etc., but they also go beyond that and make additional contributions that were not expected, but which were gladly welcomed. So, yeah, let me give you an example of what I mean. So here we have Metoo, and they have happy customers. No complaints at all. Everything's fine. And then we have Mebest. By the way, there isn't anything arrogant intended in this statement here. Mebest simply means that they outperform these people here, and they do so and then create very happy customers. Okay, big difference between the two. A happy customer is someone who gets what they wanted. They like the people that they deal with. The companies are reliable, as I said. No complaints, absolutely no complaints at all. Until perhaps they meet Mebest companies. Mebest companies create very happy customers, not only because they behave as these people behave, but they provide them with ideas. They're a generative company, not simply a general company. They're not just a distributor, they're a contributor. They not only provide products, they provide productivity ideas. They're very, very interesting companies. And I'm going to give you two examples, okay, of this particular situation here. Mebest. So the first example is to do with the company that I ran, the marketing and sales director for Schwarzkopf. And in that company, we were dealing with salons. We were dealing with other types of organizations too, you know, grocery and pharmacy and one thing and another. But our main customers were salons. Very nice people, very hardworking people, artistically inclined people. I really got on with them very well. Very nice people. But they had certain areas where they needed to improve. They had to be better business people, better leaders for their staff. They had to understand their customers better. They had to learn how to not only serve, but upserve, which is selling, helping people to achieve the best possible results, listening to what they want, helping them with what they want, but also helping them with what they need. So we had a board of customers. I know I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again. And I'll mention it at the end of this session, that we had a board of customers. These were very progressive salon owners, quite small, medium, large. They represented the market, so to speak. And, we met with them only to, mainly the main reason was to find out what they thought about our company, our salespeople, our products, our service, prices, everything. And we would get that feedback. And as I have mentioned before, it was very depressing, but it was positively depressing, because positively depressing means that you've got time to sort the problem out and do something about it. Negatively depressing is when you don't have meetings with customers and you don't know what your problems are, so they fix you. You be very careful about that, very careful. It's a good job the medical world doesn't operate on the basis of how business works, okay? They are constantly involved in not only serving patients, but they're also involved on another side of medicine about looking at new vaccines, as everybody is right now with COVID-19, checking on patients, looking at patients, understanding their needs, their health problems, and so forth and so on. So one of the things that we found out as we had meetings with our customers is that they needed help to be better business people. I don't mean to go around in three-piece suits and all that kind of thing. I mean that they simply needed to be better business people. So very good hairdressers, very hardworking, very artistically inclined, love their work, love their clients and so forth, but they needed help to be better at running a business. So who's going to help them with that? Well, we did. And we were the only company that helped them on an ongoing, continuous basis, not to simply impress them, but to help them be more successful, because if they become more successful, we become more successful. And if we're the only company that are really helping them and treating them as very happy customers, because believe me, they were, and we were up against giants, fabulous companies, international companies, L'Oreal and Wella, but they didn't do these things. They may today, I don't know, but in those days, they certainly didn't do these things. They were very good Metoo companies, apart from their international reputations. They were very good Metoo companies, very good products, good people, good service, etc., etc. But they didn't help them. So I'm just going to show you, or should I say remind you, of the kind of things that we did at Schwarzkopf to create very happy customers, just in case you think that we're talking about a mere philosophy here. It's not a philosophy, it's a practice. It's actually happening. So it all started when I started writing articles, okay? So I just called it PS, Positively Speaking, and article after article after article after article, hundreds and hundreds of them over a period of time, and they went out every fortnight, and the customers really enjoyed them. And it's only a very small contribution, but it was a contribution, and no one else wrote articles for them. That was very helpful for me too, because I can't simply sit down and write an article unless I understand the people that I'm serving. So number one, it started with articles. Number two, we started giving them training ideas. So here's one: consultation, not confrontation. This one is for the staff. This one is for the salon owner, the leader. And this has not only the questions in it, but also the suggested answers as well. And we had a whole pile of these. Personal development for the staff, and one for the owner, so that they could see suggested answers. Questioning consultation, which was an important part of what a salon does. And then the leader's version. Treatment talk for the leader, and so forth. So they really enjoyed that, because otherwise they had no means of training their staff to be better and more professional at what they do. Then we created the concept of Progressive Hairdressing Club, known as the PH Club, which, to my amazement, I found out not long ago is still happening. In fact, Schwarzkopf invited me to speak at a PH meeting in Los Angeles for people in Australia and New Zealand in Los Angeles last September, which I very much enjoyed, seeing people that I used to know. But this was a big deal for us to get involved in and so forth. We had conferences for them, national conferences. They paid to go, but we found a way to help them pay less than they ordinarily would and so forth. And we had one conference a year for our customers. Have you ever heard of a company having conference for its customers? Also, we had local seminars, or PD days as we call them, professional development days. And I used to run those in Victoria, in Tasmania, in New South Wales, all over Australia, etc. This became extremely popular, and we provided them with an idea called the Dear Client card, which whenever a client came in, they would give this to the client, and the client would answer a certain number of very, very simple questions here, which would alert the salon to areas where the clients needed help in the future. Not right away, not today. All of that was sorted out, but they would sow the seeds for the future. And the card also had inside it a record of what they'd done for the client and so forth. They loved that. They absolutely loved it. Again, they paid for these items. We couldn't afford them. But when we bought them, we sold them to them at the same price that we paid for them, etc. The 2 review, which was an idea helping the staff every quarter to talk to the boss about where they needed help in the future and what have you. It wasn't anything to do with criticizing people, just looking to help them a little bit more. Checklist for salon promotions, an idea called Future Business, which is all about how to create a very simple plan. The client circle, which is how to meet with customers, because they were just as worried as everybody else was about meeting with customers. They don't mind meeting customers in a working situation, but how am I supposed to work with customers when I have to meet with them? Very simple. Here we had an idea called the Schwarzkopf window, which was a way for them to look at client service and satisfaction in the past and the future. So I hope you're getting the picture here. Product performances, successful salon presentations in your community, Schwarzkopf goal management. It went on and on, and it didn't stop. It got better and better. And here we have 2 major training programs for the salons, the PASS system and a trainer's kit here for professional communication skills. They paid for it. We couldn't afford it, but they loved it. That's an example of what I mean by a very happy customer. And as I may have mentioned before, I met a guy after I left Schwarzkopf, sometime after, and we used to play tennis together. And he said to me, I'm going to tell you something that I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't at the time. He said, I went to see a top salon in Sydney, and I showed them this idea, this deal that we had, which was a very good deal. And the lady said, I can't, I'm sorry. And he said, why not? She said, because I'm attached to Schwarzkopf. She said, I don't want to lose any of the items they keep providing us with. And his company provided none of those items, nothing to do with it whatsoever. All it was products, service, price, contact, that's it. In other words, very predictable, but not very professional. So that's example number 1, okay? Making sure that you have very happy customers. That's where the money comes from, okay? And if you meet someone who is a happy customer, and you start to introduce them to ideas that you've got for them, and if you want help with the ideas, by the way, I'm more than happy to help you, because I know you can't just click your fingers and get hold of them. It took us ages to create the items I just talked to you about. You want to create them to be happy customers, and when you do, they'll say goodbye to the Metoo suppliers. They won't be nasty, because they have been nice people and so forth, but they'll say goodbye to them because they're not getting what they got from Schwarzkopf and companies like that. So here's a very simple, slightly amusing second example concerning myself. So I was working in the UK, the age of I started with a company called Reckitt & Coleman. I was aged about 21. I was a cadet rep. Then I got promoted to senior rep. And one of my customers was called Murray Kaplan, and he had a very large cash and carry, Kaplan's cash and carry. Biggest operator where I came from, the city of Manchester, and known by everybody. And then all hell broke loose because our company accused him of not having paid for some of his bills, and the people responsible for the calls called some of his staff to let them know about it before talking to Kaplan, which made him as mad as hell. And so he decided to punish them. Oh, by the way, it was eventually proven that he hadn't missed out on any payments whatsoever. So this goes to show you how clever a company can be, or sorry, how dumb a company can be. So he decided that he would punish Reckitt and Coleman by keeping their stock levels at the lowest possible level you can imagine, just so that everybody else, apart from himself, could see how Reckitt and Coleman was seen in their eyes. So I'd only just got started as a senior rep, and you can imagine how I felt. Now, I've lost my biggest customer in a sense. He agreed to still see me. He knew it wasn't my fault, but there was very little I could do about it. I would just call in, say hello, just get to add up the stock items for what he wanted, but on a very low level, as I said, and that was it. In the background of my life, I had a very good friend. His name was Roger Winnick, and he ran a supermarket called the Globe Supermarket. And we had known each other for many, many years. He and his wife and my wife used to go out on a Wednesday night to a club, have a good time and so forth. And one night we're at the club, and he told me that he didn't look too happy. And I said, what's the problem? He said, I've got problems with my supplier. He said, they're hopeless. They let me down again. They let me down again 2 weeks ago. It's just getting ridiculous. So I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I asked him who the supplier was. I said, have you heard of Kaplan's Cash and Carry? Nope. I said, well, they're very big and they're very good and very reliable. I said, he said, well, can you get me a list of the products and the prices and so forth? I said, certainly. So I went to Kaplan's the next day. I spoke to one of the assistant managers. I didn't speak to Kaplan. I got the lists that Roger wanted, the lists of products, the lists of prices and so forth. I passed it on to Roger. And at one stage he said, would it be possible to go in and have a look at Kaplan's Cash and Carry? And I said, yeah, sure. So I took him there and we met with the assistant manager. I left them to it, nothing to do with me. And the assistant manager gave him a tour of the place, answered any questions that he had, etc. About 2 weeks later, I was in talking to Murray Kaplan on the very low-key basis, as I described. And he said, oh, by the way, he said, a friend of yours called Roger Winnick has just become a new customer of our company. And he said, I wanted to say thank you to you because he told me it was you that recommended us. And like an idiot, a complete idiot, I said, well, I did it for his benefit, not really for yours. He said, okay, don't be smart. I'm letting you know, we are very happy. Our company will never reach the point where we forget the value of one new customer. So now we've got a new customer. Okay, it may not seem like a big deal to you, but it is to me. And he said, you caused this to happen. Okay, so this is the slightest example of creating a very happy customer. And he said, so you've got one or two options. Number one, he's placed an order for X amount, and you can have 10% of that if you wish, or we can start up again in the way that we had before I had those calls about not having paid my bills. So naturally, I took the money. It's the kind of guy that I am. But seriously, no, I just said to him, oh, well, look, I would be delighted if we could get back to the way we were before. He said, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. He hardly ever smiled, by the way. Yeah, that's okay, that's fine, thank you. And I just left and, whoa, great. Then fast forward, the Reckitt and Coleman company began to change the way it did things. It started having divisions, and the divisions were this division, that division, this division, etc. And they were, and we didn't know if we would keep our jobs or not. And then it was suggested to me that one of the divisions, the hair care division of a company, was looking for a sorry, I beg your pardon, I got confused there. They were looking to interview someone for a job, and as a key account manager. And so I went for the interview, and in the middle of the interview, and I was there with the managing director and the sales director. Managing director said to me, "Who is your biggest customer in Manchester?" And I said, "Murray Kaplan." And I remember they both looked at each other for a moment, and then we went back into the discussion again. And then I got in my car and I drove back to Manchester. I called into Kaplan's because I had something to do with them. Kaplan was there. I had a quick chat with him. And he said, "How did you go? You went for your interview today, didn't you, for the key account job?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "How did you go?" I said, "I have no idea. Absolutely no idea." I said, they use the usual words, "We'll let you know." And he said, "Well, as it so happens, you did get the job." I said, "How do you know?" He said, "Because they called me to ask if I knew you. Apparently you said you knew me." I said, "They asked me, did I know you?" And I just told them yes. And he said, "Well, they called me to ask me if I knew you." I said, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Anyway, you've got the job." "I've got the job?" "Yeah." I said, "How come?" He said, "I told them that I would cancel the account if they didn't give it to you." Now, that was a very interesting lesson for me. Only a tiny example of creating a very happy customer. Do what you can in small ways and large ways, okay, to help people become very happy customers. And the only way you can really do that is by offering them ideas, solutions, opportunities that the Metoo suppliers do not offer. Okay, so let's go to the next point. So where are we? We've got to go back a couple of steps here, Simon. Are you there, Simon? Have you fallen asleep? No? Back again? Right to the start? Okay, so we've gone through what's the difference. We've gone through 2 examples. And now we're going to talk about winning new, very happy customers. How are you supposed to do that? Especially if you are calling on prospects and what have you, who really, if you think about it, and you should know about this, and this is one of the reasons why it's worth talking to customers, is that they hate receiving calls, telephone calls, from people about, "Can I come and say hello? Can I come and tell you about our company?" It drives them nuts because they are happy customers. They've already got a supplier or more than one supplier who they're very happy with. So here's what we have to do. This is the 3-step process. Number 1. Introduce. Learn to introduce yourself. Now, I would recommend that you do that by email in the modern era. And I have created this very simple paragraph, sizable paragraph, about how to make contact with someone and making it absolutely clear that you don't want to talk to them in order to attack the status quo. You want to talk to them about some opportunities, etc. And if you would like a copy of this, which obviously you can change as you see fit, if you'd like a copy of this email, which is an email based on introducing yourself in a professional manner, okay, as opposed to what most people do, which is tell them all about their company and themselves and what have you. So I have written this. I'll give you the starting point of it. Hi, I am, and we specialize in, outline this briefly. I would appreciate talking to you soon, not to attack your current vendors, suppliers, in the areas of, nominate the areas, because we assume that all goes well on those fronts. Instead of trying to interfere with your supplier relationships, our speciality is to offer ideas that significantly improve results in areas that really matter. such as, and then briefly mention areas in a language that most people can relate to. As examples, we have worked with several businesses of various sizes to improve results by, nominate the percentage improvement. If we can meet briefly soon, I can show you how we approach the challenge and we can hopefully set up a trial. Sorry, I should have read that better. If we can meet briefly soon, I can show you how we approach the challenge of improving results, which just takes a few minutes. And if this information is of interest, then we can hopefully set up a trial to aim for serious improvement in one or more key areas of your business. So I said, if you want a copy of that, or if you get a copy of this film and you want to copy it off the film, it's entirely up to you. But that, I believe, is what works extremely well because it's respectful. And at the same time, it's very interesting. It's talking about the possibility of improved results from tomorrow. Remember, Metoo companies are for today and the past, and Mebest companies are all about recognizing and respecting the past and getting stuck into the future, the areas of potential, or as you may remember, the second gap, the area of opportunity. So that's number one. Number two. Seduce. Which reminds me, I must make a phone call. But anyway, that's not important. What I mean by seduce is you offer them ideas and so forth. First thing you do is remind them of what you said in your email. Now, what I've done here is I have designed two very simple checklists so that when you go to see someone, you can start off by saying, look, I mentioned in my email that our aim is not to unsettle, get involved with, to take the place of any of your current suppliers, because we just assume everything's going well. In fact, I have a simple checklist here. And here are the questions. I'd just be interested in your response. Do your chosen suppliers provide good products and services? Yes or no? And the answer will be yes. Okay, fine. Is the service provided by your suppliers of good quality? And again, I would imagine that they would say yes. Okay. Are the salespeople of these companies reliable and helpful? Yes. No. Would you recommend your suppliers to people you know? Yes. Okay, fine. So that makes it clear as to what I said in my email. We're not here to attack this because we assume it's working well for however long you've had the relationship. But now I have a second checklist. Just two questions. And this is regarding the future. Is your company committed to achieving growth in key product areas for and with your customers? And you can imagine what people would say. Yes, of course. Okay. Is there serious and immediate potential to improve company results in most or all of the company's key sales and profits areas? Yes. Okay, fine. So I wanted to check on that because now what I'd like to do is, and then you show them the nature of the opportunity you have in mind and the kind of result that can be achieved. So you then talk about the promise of a result. And the result must be really very, very good, very strong. The promise of a result, a plan to achieve the result, and a test to ensure success. Okay. And then there is one other thing, which is to do it all again. So now we come to produce. So introduce, I would suggest an email, unless you have other methods that you prefer. So the email, as I've said, you can have a copy of it. Seduce simply means that you will give them a, what did I write there? The checklist, the 2 checklists. How do they feel about their current suppliers? Do they believe that there's opportunities to improve the business? Then you can come in with your promise of a result, a plan to achieve the result, and a test to ensure success. And produce is to be consistent, to keep on doing it. Call after call, month after month, year after year, you look for and come up with opportunities. Now, as we've discussed before, this doesn't come out of thin air. The idea is to look at your customer base and to see which customers are achieving the highest level of results, not because of their size, but because of their thinking and their commitment and so forth. You may remember that I mentioned they're looking for better results. They have the motivation to do it, and they have the strategies to do it. And they keep learning how to do it better all the time. So, very important for us to understand, these are the 3 steps that you have to go through. I'll help you with them anytime you like. I didn't say it was a piece of cake, and neither is it overly difficult either. So, very important to understand how to win new prospects. And this was why the test down here is very important. Don't just, just say, oh, well, we'll do it, we'll hope it goes well, and what have you. You've got to make sure it happens, and then you've got to continue doing it. And when you get the information from your customers, which is at Schwarzkopf, we called it the success ideas from the marketplace, and we didn't steal them, we never stole them, and we gave information to people who gave us information, etc. So we were swapping ideas backwards and forwards. We literally had a bank of success ideas, because you can't help people for you to become Mebest if in fact you are not offering them ideas that are proven and extremely helpful and impressive. Okay, very important. Okay, where are we up to? So just to give you an example, in the very first session that we did, don't even remember when it was, but I'm pretty sure it was May. But anyway, I told you about, and I doubt if there are many people today who were at that first session. So I'm just going to repeat this briefly. This is the art of selling. My wife and I moved into a new house in a suburb of Sydney. I beg your pardon, it was a new house for us. It wasn't a new house. We had a very nice front garden, quite a large back garden. And eventually we were able to put in a pool for our children. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. But in the process of installing the pool, they made a terrible mess of our garden. And it was about a year before we could afford any landscaping. So I called in 3 guys. First 2 guys came in. Very, very nice people. Yes, Mr. Lees, how can I help you? And I said, well, we want to do some landscaping. Okay, fine. What kind of landscaping do you want to do? Well, we want to do, because we've had the pool put in, so we want to put in paving and shrubs and, pebbles and things like that. Oh, okay. How much did you want to spend, Mr. Lees? I didn't have a figure in mind, so I just gave him a figure. And he said, okay, all right, thank you. I'll be back and I'll give you a quote. I said, thank you. So he did. He came back and he gave me a quote. Any complaints? None at all. He was a very nice guy, very helpful. And then the second guy came in and he basically did the same thing in his own words. Hi, Mr. Lees. How can I help you? Oh, we're looking to do some landscaping. Oh, okay. What did you have in mind? Oh, paving, shrubs, pebbles, that kind of thing. How much did you want to spend? Gave him the same figure I gave him to the other guy. Oh, okay, fine. Sounds very nice. Okay, well, let me get back to you with a quote, which he did. So we had the 2 quotes, the 2 calls. Very nice, no complaints. Third guy came along, completely different. Nothing outlandish or loud about him. He said, hi, Mr. Lees. First of all, thank you for asking me to give you some ideas. What did you have in mind as a starting point? So you see, that allows me to tell him what's on my mind before he tells me what's on his mind. And I hope he's got more on his mind regarding landscaping than I have, because I don't know anything about it. And I don't wish to. So I told him what I was looking for. As I said before, the paving, the rocks, the shrubs, etc. I told him what we had in mind as far as payment was concerned. He said, okay, fine. He said, no problem. He said, do you mind if I ask you and your wife some questions? I said, not at all. He said, okay. So he asked us some questions, not too many, just simply about how did we entertain and how often did we entertain. And I can't remember all the questions. And then he went away. And the first two guys came back with their quotes, and he came back with a quote too, for exactly what I said I wanted. And he gave a sketch also of what I said I wanted, the bushrock, the paving, the shrubs, etc. And then he gave me a second sketch and a second quote for what he could see we needed. After all, he's the expert on landscaping, not I. Where do you stand with regard to this issue in your business? Are you in the business of simply helping people get what they want? Or are you in the business of listening to what they want, being respectful of what they want, and then helping them with what they need? Because in this particular case, we knew nothing about landscaping, and as I said, we didn't want to. So the second sketch, and by the way, they were very simple sketches, nothing complicated about them. The second sketch had the bushrock, the paving, the shrubs as required. He also had a river pebble garden at the back of the pool, in the middle of which was the most beautiful barbecue made out of what they call sandstone brick. Price, 50% more. Have a guess which one we bought, especially as my wife was there. You know, we decided that you can't go around prejudging people and what they can afford and what they can't afford. So we went with the third guy based on the fact that he gave us two options, okay? He didn't dismiss the first one. He came at us with the first one as requested, never ignore what a customer says they want. And then he gave us his second recommendation, which was excellent. That's how you build business, okay? You listen to what people want, you're respectful of what they want, and then you help them with ideas that they hadn't thought of, that we hadn't thought of in any way, shape, or form. So just remember that story. Very good story, very simple story, a truthful story. And now, finally, we come to a simple question. Are you there, Simon? Okay, so there's the question. How important is teamwork? So if you and I were talking and I asked you that question, what would you say? Now, I'm pretty sure that based on the number of times I've asked this question, most people, including yourself, would say, oh, very important. Are you kidding? Very, very, teamwork? Oh, very, very important. Okay, fine. Well, I thought you might say that, and I'm glad to hear it too. Okay. Second question, is the customer a part of your team? Well, I mean, I think so. I would like to think so, but they're not. The customer is not part of their team. If you want to succeed in business, if you want to create very happy customers, then talk to regular customers on a regular basis. Find out what they like, what they don't like, what they've done, what they should have done, all that kind of thing. Listen to what they have to say. Tell them about what your plans are. Get their feedback, and even involve your staff as best as you possibly can to listen to what they have to say. They're not experts, by the way. They're not going to tell you how to run your business. That's nonsense. They are going to tell you whether or not they like the standards that you want to employ in terms of sales and service, etc. And they're also interested to know what kind of ideas you have to offer. And it allows you to know whether or not this small group are giving us information which corresponds, hopefully, with the market itself. But you can't talk to the market, but you can talk to a small number of customers who are progressive by nature. So don't consider that you're involved in teamwork unless you meet with customers on a regular basis, because otherwise you're kidding yourself. And now I just want to say thank you again to Simon, and thank you to you. And as I said, the checklist is available for you, both checklists. I think it's a very good idea, by the way, and also the idea of the email to break through and get to meet the person you want to meet. And I look forward to seeing you next week in the 21st edition. And again, Simon, thank you very much. All the best. Can't hear you, Simon. There's no sound, Simon. I don't know if you can hear me.
Just waiting. You should be able to hear me in a sec. Can you hear me now? Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I think you know what would be a good
Apologies
idea
about that.
for me to take over the
John,
these things.
Yes, that's right. You can run the technical part of it.
Technically, I'm miles ahead of you. Okay, me. Technically,
you are.
Any question you like, and I will answer it. Okay, because I am technically inclined. That's the way I am. I know you are, but only to that extent. Me, huge.
Yeah, I'm glad we straightened that one out. Hey, John, what I was going to say is I really love that landscape story, and the one thing I wrote down from that today, guys, and I think this is one of the most key things that any of us could actually go and do, is when you're thinking about your customer, is listen to what they want, then actually help them with what they need. And if you write that down and put that in front of yourself and think of that every day, every conversation you're having with a customer, I think that would be the one massive key takeaway for me. And in fact, I'll go as far as I think that's one of the biggest key takeaways from the last 20 episodes, John. If you focus on that, sometimes we're not good kind of listening, and you focus on giving them what they need, then you are going to have very happy customers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. So, guys, in the words of someone else, I would put that on a bumper sticker. Listen to what they want and then help them with what they need when it comes to customers. That is a great bumper sticker in my view.
And don't ignore what they said they wanted. Don't ignore it. Don't go straight into it. I remember working with IBM in Australia, and there was a guy who was from America working in Australia, and he basically worshipped IBM. They were the best company in America at that time. And we had a meeting with this gentleman, a customer. And, well, he wasn't a customer of theirs, but he was a fan of theirs. And they said, okay, what's your story? He said, the story is that I am a very big fan of IBM. And he said, not too long ago, I had to update some of our workings in the IT area. He said, and I did. I started to do it and called IBM to help me. He said, because I was raised in the US and great company. And it was 2 weeks before I got a reply from any of the people at IBM. He said, which was worrying, but, you know, I didn't get mad or anything because, again, great company. And then the guy came and he brought about 8 people with him. And I said, I took him on one side. Excuse me. I said, what are the 8 people doing here? Oh, he said, well, we're going to work on your project. And I said, I haven't told you what the project is yet. And I don't want to get involved in doing this yet until I've talked to you. Okay. So he asked the other people to step outside. Anyway, they discussed what he wanted to do and what have you, and what his budget was. And then he went away and he came back with an estimated cost which was 50% over what the guy had said his budget was. So, you know, he was as mad as hell. What happened to the IBM that I knew? And so, yeah, he was very upset about the whole thing. He hired someone else, and they were excellent. That's a very small version of IBM, but they were very, very good. And the people there, listening to what he had to say and what I had to say, when I say what I had to say, I'm talking about the general way of treating customers and what have you. They were very angry about the whole thing, as indeed they should be. And that's the only time that ever happens is when you talk to customers and you get mad. And then when you get mad, you get better. Over to you again.
Yeah, it's just such an important point, John. You know, listening to customers and making sure that you are actually doing the listening part of it. So another great another episode, John. Really appreciate it, and we'll be back with episode 21 next Thursday. We're 21 years old, John, and don't we look it and feel it?
Don't.
Well, I do anyway. Anyway, guys, we'll call that a wrap for today, and we will see you live next Thursday. Another episode live with John Lees. And don't forget, if you want to get in touch with John, his details across the bottom of the screen. And if you're watching this episode on replay, I really suggest go back and listen to the landscape story, and write down, listen to what they want, and then help them with what they need. In the meantime, we will see you guys next Thursday. Stay safe over there in California, John, and have a great Thursday, and hope you finish off your week excitingly well.
See ya.